You walk into Costco and you'll notice something right away. Every TV looks good under those bright store lights, but the truth is, not all of them are worth your money. And since we usually keep a TV for 4 to 5 years, choosing the wrong one can turn into an expensive mistake. In this video, we're ranking the top 10 Costco TVs from worst to best, and every model on this list is the 65-inch version, so you're getting a big screen no matter what. The prices range from budget-friendly options around $450 all the way up to premium models near $1,500. Let's start from number 10 and work our way up. The Vizio V series is one of the most affordable large TVs at Costco, usually priced between $450 and $550. That low cost is the main reason many shoppers choose it. A 65-inch screen at that price looks like a great deal on the warehouse floor, but once you bring it home, the weaknesses start to show. Brightness is the biggest limitation. This TV does not get bright enough for rooms with sunlight or strong lighting. Dark scenes lose detail, and bright scenes never feel as vivid as they should. Motion is another issue. Sports and fast action can look a little blurry because the panel and motion system are very basic. The software experience can also be frustrating. Menus feel slow. The remote sometimes lags and apps may freeze or restart. Over time, the TV becomes less responsive, especially compared to smoother systems like Google TV or Roku. But long-term reliability is mixed. Some units last without trouble, while others show early backlight problems, Wi-Fi issues, or patchy colors. Since Vizio uses different internal parts from batch to batch, one TV may perform fine while another feels weaker. That inconsistency makes it hard to trust. To be fair, the V series is fine for casual watching or a spare room. It gives you a big screen for a small budget. But for your main living space where you want something smooth, bright, and reliable for several years, this model simply falls short. That's why it sits in 10th place. The right price, but the least impressive performance on this list. At number 9, we have the Toshiba C350 in 65 inches. It's one of the cheaper big screen options at Costco, usually between $480 and $600, and the Brightfire TV menu makes it look appealing at first glance. If you mostly watch news or simple shows, it handles that well. But when you use it as your main TV, the difference becomes clear. The picture doesn't feel as sharp or rich as the models above it, and darker scenes tend to lose detail. Some units also show small areas where the brightness looks uneven, especially during slow or quiet scenes. It's not a major flaw, but once you notice it, it's hard to ignore on a large screen. The Fire TV system is familiar and easy to understand, but it does slow down a bit with time. Opening apps or switching menus can take longer than you expect, and the flow isn't as smooth as what you get from stronger models. Long-term performance also varies from home to home. Many people have a smooth experience, but others mention occasional Wi-Fi drops, needing to restart the sound, or faint light patches showing up on the screen. So overall, you're getting a lot of size for the price, but not the level of clarity, stability, and long-term strength you'll find in the TVs ranked higher. That's why the Toshiba C350 sits at number 9. At number 8, we have the Hisense R6 in 65 in at Costco. It usually sells between $500 and $650, which is a good deal for a screen this large. It looks sharp under the store lights and handles simple everyday watching without any trouble for news, talk shows, or light streaming. It does exactly what you expect. But once you start watching faster or darker content, the difference becomes clear. The picture doesn't hold its sharpness during sports or action scenes, and motion can look a bit soft, especially if you sit closer to the screen. Dark scenes can also look flatter with less detail than what you get from the stronger models higher on this list. A few owners also mentioned slight color changes when viewing from the side, which becomes more noticeable on a big 65-inch display. The built-in smart system is easy to learn, but it doesn't feel as smooth as the systems on the better-ranked TVs. Apps take a moment to launch, and switching menus can feel slower than expected. Most buyers get steady performance, but a small number report mild backlight unevenness or apps needing a restart after updates. These aren't major problems, but they remind you this is still an entry-level set. Overall, the Hisense R6 gives you a lot of screen for the money and works well for relaxed viewing. But if motion clarity, richer dark scenes, or smoother software matter to you, the TVs above it simply deliver a stronger everyday experience. That's why it ranks at number 8. At number 7, we have the Samsung Q60Q in 65 inches. It usually sells between $550 and $700 at Costco, and that price paired with the Samsung name makes a lot of shoppers grab it right away. It looks sleek, the menus feel familiar, and for everyday streaming or news, it performs well. But when you use it in brighter rooms or watch faster content, the limits start to show. The Q60C isn't as bright as it appears under store lighting. So if you have big windows or strong sunlight, the picture can look a little washed out. Darker scenes also don't have the depth you get from the TVs ranked above it, so movies at night may feel slightly softer. Motion is another area where this model feels more basic. Sports, action, or quick camera movement can show slight blur or trails, especially on such a large screen. It's not terrible, but if you watch a lot of fast content, you'll notice the difference compared to the TVs higher on the list. Samsung software is easy to learn, but on this model, it isn't as quick as their premium series. Switching apps or opening menus sometimes takes a moment, which can be noticeable if you're used to smoother systems. Overall, the Samsung Q60C offers a trusted brand name and steady day-to-day performance, but for the price, there are TVs with stronger brightness, better motion, and richer contrast. That's why it sits at number 7. At number 6, we have the LG Nano 75 in 65 inch. At Costco, it usually sells between $600 and $750, and it often catches attention because LG is a trusted name in TVs. The menus are smooth, the remote is easy to use, and the overall design feels modern. For basic day-to-day watching, it does its job without confusion. Where this model falls behind is picture strength. The Nano 75 uses an entry-level panel, so the contrast isn't as deep, and the colors aren't as rich as what you see on the TVs ranked above it. In bright rooms, the picture can look a little washed out, and in darker movies, details tend to fade more quickly than you might expect from a well-known brand. Motion is also just average. Sports and fast scenes don't look bad, but they don't have the smoothness that LG's higher models are known for. It's clear this model focuses more on simplicity than performance. The software is where LG shines. WebOS is easy to navigate, fast to learn, and consistent over time. But smooth software doesn't fully make up for the picture limitations, especially on a 65-inch screen where the weaker contrast becomes more noticeable. Overall, the LG Nano 75 is comfortable to use and backed by a trusted brand. But compared with the TVs above it, it gives you less brightness, less depth, and less overall impact for your money. That's why it sits at number 6. Now, before we move on, this is where the list starts to get interesting. We're stepping into the top 5, and these are what I'd call the premium mid-range models. TVS that offer noticeably better picture quality, smoother performance, and stronger long-term stability than everything below them. They're not full premium, but they're a clear step up from the budget picks. So, let's get into the better choices. Starting with number 5. Number 5, we have the TCL S4 N65 in. At Costco, it usually falls between $650 and $800, and it often looks like a smart mid-range choice. The design is clean. The Google TV software is easy to learn, and the picture looks good enough for regular day-to-day watching. For shows, YouTube, and general streaming, it performs smoothly. But when you compare it with the stronger models above it, you start to see why it lands right in the middle. The brightness is decent but not powerful. In brighter rooms or during daytime viewing, the picture doesn't have the same punch you get from high-ranked TVs. Darker scenes also don't have the depth or contrast of the more advanced models. Motion handling is another area where the SF4 is just okay. Sports, fast-moving scenes, or action-heavy content may show a little softness, which becomes more noticeable on a large 65-inch screen. It's never distracting, but it doesn't match the smoothness of the TVs ahead of it. The software is one of its stronger points. Google TV is clean, organized, and easy for older viewers to navigate, but the overall picture quality still feels more basic compared to what you get for a little more money. Overall, the TCL S4 is a solid mid-range pick that gives you a big screen, smooth menus, and decent performance, but it doesn't offer the brightness, motion strength, or richness of the models above it. That's why it sits at number 5. At number 4, we have the Hisense U7N in 65 inches. This is the point in the list where you start seeing a real jump in performance, especially for the price. At Costco, it usually sells between $800 to $950. And for many shoppers, this is the first TV on the list that immediately looks premium the moment you turn it on. The brightness is stronger, the colors are richer, and the overall picture feels more alive compared to the mid-range models below it. The reason for this improvement is the mini LED backlighting. This technology gives the U7N much better control over dark and bright areas on the screen. Nighttime scenes have more detail, highlights stand out clearly, and movies gain a more cinematic feel. It's not as intense as the top 2 TVs on this list, but it gives you a noticeable upgrade without pushing into high-end pricing. Motion also looks smoother here. Base sports, quick camera pans, and action scenes hold their clarity much better than the earlier TVs on this list, and that matters a lot when you're dealing with a large 65-inch screen. The smart system is clean and easy to use. Apps open quickly. Switching between streaming services feels more stable, and overall navigation is smoother than the cheaper models. Some owners mention small quirks after major software updates, but they're usually minor and easy to fix with a restart. There are still a few limitations. If you sit far off to the side, the colors can shift a little, and extremely dark scenes may show mild blooming around bright objects. These aren't major problems, but they're reminders that this model sits just below the premium category. Still, the overall viewing experience is far stronger than what you get from the mid-range TVs below it. In the end, the Hisense U7N offers excellent value. For under $1,000, you get strong brightness, bold color, solid motion, and a picture that feels much closer to premium quality than the price suggests. That's why it earns the number 4 spot. At number 3, we have the Sony X85K in 65 inches. At Costco, it usually sells between $900 and a little over $1,000, placing it in that higher mid-range category where people expect stronger picture quality and better long-term performance. This is the first TV on the list where you can truly feel what you're paying for. The overall image looks cleaner, the colors have more weight, and motion control is noticeably better compared to the models below it. Sony is known for its image processing, and that's where the X85K stands out. Fast scenes in sports look smoother. Camera pans feel more natural, and the TV keeps detail sharper in motion. If you watch a lot of football, basketball, racing, or action movies, this alone makes a big difference. Brightness is also strong enough for most living rooms. Even with windows open or lights on, the picture holds up well without looking washed out. Color accuracy is another strength. Skin tones look more natural. Landscapes appear more realistic, and movies have a more balanced and pleasing look overall. You don't get the super deep blacks of an OLED, but for a traditional LED screen, this model performs very well. It's a great middle ground between affordability and higher-end quality. The Google TV software is easy to navigate, cleanly organized, and fast enough for older viewers who want something simple and reliable. Apps load quickly and switching between services feels smooth. Sony's menus also tend to stay stable over time, which helps with long-term use. There are a few limitations. The contrast isn't as deep as you'll see on the top 2 models, and nighttime movies may not look as rich in the darkest scenes. Viewing angles are also just average, so picture quality drops a bit if you're sitting far to the side. But these are expected trade-offs, and none of them take away from the TV's strong everyday performance. Overall, the Sony X805K delivers a crisp, natural, and comfortable viewing experience that feels a step above the mid-range models. For shoppers who want a trusted brand, smooth motion, and balanced picture quality without jumping into the premium price range, this is one of the best choices at Costco. That's why it earns the number 3 spot. At number 2, we have the Samsung Q85C in 65 inches. At Costco, it usually sells between $1,000 and $1,300. And this is the point where the picture quality makes a big jump. The screen gets bright enough for rooms with big windows, and colors stay bold even during daytime viewing. If you watch TV in a bright living room, this model handles that better than anything below it on the list. Motion is also a strong point here. Sports fast action and quick camera movement stay clear, which makes a noticeable difference on a large 65-inch screen. The contrast is solid too, giving movies a nice amount of depth without looking washed out in darker scenes. Samsung's smart system is quick and easy once you get used to it. Apps open fast, the menus respond well, and overall performance feels smooth and stable. A few people find the home screen slightly busy, but in terms of speed, it's one of the better systems in this price range. There are still limits. The viewing angles are average, so the picture loses some strength if you sit off to the side, and while the brightness is excellent, the blacks aren't as deep as the model in our #1 spot. But these trade-offs are normal for an LED TV. Overall, the Samsung QN85C offers a bright, clean, and lively picture that works great in most homes. It delivers a premium feel without the premium price tag, which is why it ranks at #2. At #1, we have the LG B3 OLED in 65 inches. At Costco, it usually sells between $1,200 and $1,600. And this is the TV that stands above the rest for pure picture quality. The moment it turns on, you can see why it ranks first. The blacks are truly deep. Colors look richer and more natural, and movies have a level of detail that regular LED TVs just can't match. If you watch a lot of evening shows, movies, or anything filmed in darker scenes, this TV delivers the most lifelike image in the entire lineup. The strength of the B3 comes from its OLED panel. Instead of using a backlight, each pixel lights itself, so bright areas and dark areas stay perfectly separated. That gives you a clean, sharp picture without the gray patches or light bleed that LED TVs often show. It's especially noticeable during nighttime scenes or big wide shots where you want the picture to feel deep and smooth. Motion is another area where it stands out. Sports look clean, camera movement stays sharp, and fast scenes hold their detail without blur. For gaming, it's one of the best options sold at Costco thanks to low input lag and strong color accuracy. The smart system is simple to use and responds quickly. Apps load fast and the menus feel easy, even for older viewers who don't want anything confusing. LG's system has a clean layout that avoids the clutter you sometimes find on other brands. OLED does have one small consideration. It performs best in darker rooms. In very bright living spaces with strong sunlight, the TVs ranked #2 and 3 may handle brightness better, but for movie nights and relaxed viewing, nothing beats the picture quality here. Overall, the LG B3 OLED is the most balanced and most impressive TV in Costco's 65-inch lineup. It offers the best picture, the best depth, and the most premium experience for the price. That's why it comfortably sits at number. Thanks for tuning into NextGen Picks.